Thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, a warm welcome to you. Please click on the subscribe button. Thank you. Since Nana's mother died, her father became everything to her. They always bonded so well. Nana was oblivious to her father's need of a companion. When her father mentioned that he was getting another wife, Nana didn't argue. She didn't want to make her father angry, but deep down in her heart, she didn't want anyone to replace her mother. Nana had just returned from school. She walked into the compound wearily. The moment she saw the woman sitting beside her father on the wooden bench under the mango tree, her heart sank and hardened. The woman was smiling. That annoyed Nana more than anything else. "Nana," her father called, rising to meet her with arms outstretched. "Come and greet your new mother." New mother? The words echoed in her mind like a curse. She stood still. She didn't move forward. She simply stared. The woman stood too, a smile still dancing on her lips. She had a soft face and deep brown eyes, and she was dressed in a neatly ironed Ankara wrapper and blouse. Gold studs glinted on her ears. Her arms were folded shyly, as if she already sensed she was unwelcome. "My name is Gozi," she said gently. "I've heard so much about you, Nana. Your father says you're very smart." Nana blinked slowly, then turned around and walked straight into the house. Her father sighed. Gozi looked at him and smiled awkwardly. "It's okay. She just needs time," she said. Inside, Nana dropped her school bag with a thud, changed her uniform, and sat cross-legged on a sofa. Her chest was tight, her hands balled into fists. Nobody had warned her about this. Her father only mentioned marriage passively. He had always spoken about her mother like she was irreplaceable. So who was this woman sitting in her late mother's spot, smiling like was wrong? Later that day, while her father was tending to his small electronics repair shop down the road, Nana was seated on the sofa in the sitting room, playing games with her phone. Gozi walked in warmly and Nana ignored her and she walked away. Gozi tried.
"Hello, dear.
She really
How was
tried.
school today?"
She swept the house before Nana could lift a broom, prepared her favorite meals, a goosey soup with bitter leaf, and even attempted to braid her hair once. But Nana remained cold. She only spoke to her father. She ignored Gozi completely, treating her like a ghost who had wandered in uninvited and refused to leave. Her dislike for her grew into resentment. One day, Nana walked into the kitchen and met Gozi making soup. She retreated and an evil thought came up in her head. Gozi stepped out of the kitchen and Nana came in. She added a tablespoon of salt into her soup just to ruin the taste. Gozi was stepping back into the kitchen when she saw Nana leaving stealthily. She suspected something but couldn't place it on anything. When she tasted her food for salt, she pinned it. She used the popular kitchen hack of adding a few cuts of Irish potatoes into a salty soup. The soup was still salty, but it wasn't too bad to be eaten. Gozi didn't say a word of it to her husband. She dismissed it as one of the childish games children play. Nana was always occupied with the thoughts of frustrating Gozi. One day, while it rained, Nana threw out some of Gozi's clothes, which she had neatly folded. She had brought them in when it was about to rain and left them on the chair in her room. She enjoyed every moment of it as she also stood in the rain to enjoy the showers. When she was done having a swell time, she left them soaked in muddy water. Gozi carefully packed her clothes, re-washed them and hung them on the line. She never breathed a word of it to her father. She didn't want her presence to bring any friction between the father and daughter bond they shared. Over the years, Nana had grown older. She was in the university studying laboratory technology. She still had not accepted Gozi as her stepmother. She didn't want a stepmother. She didn't need a carer. She didn't want to share her father's attention. One day, she confronted her father for the first time. "I don't like that woman. Let her leave us alone," she yelled. Her father was hurt. He did everything possible to make her understand how much he needed a companion and why she also needed a mother figure. Nothing made sense to her. One morning, Nana overheard her father telling Gozi, "She's still grieving her mother. Give her time." Nana wanted to scream. She wasn't grieving anymore. She was angry. Angry that her father had replaced her mother like she was some broken chair. Angry that Gozi smiled too much. Angry that this woman had dared to always sit beside her father like she belonged there. That same day, Nana crept out of her room and stood silently by the kitchen door, listening to Gozi humming to herself as she fed a hen behind the house. The hen clucked and pecked gently at the grains. Gozi stood beside it like it was sacred, whispering to it and smiling. Nana narrowed her eyes. She didn't know why she felt it, but something deep within her chest whispered, "That hen. It matters to her." She didn't know how or when, but in that moment, Nana made a silent promise to herself. Gozi will regret ever stepping into this house. The days that followed were like still water, seemingly calm, yet full of unseen currents. Nana and Gozi lived under the same roof, but it felt like two strangers passing on a quiet road. There were no fights, no screams, just silence. The heavy, stifling kind that filled the air like smoke and lingered in every room of the house. Each morning Gozi rose early, swept the compound, and prepared breakfast. She would knock gently on Nana's door, say good morning, and leave the food on the table. Nana would wait until she left the room before coming out to eat, and even when she did, she never touched the meat. "She thinks she can buy me with chicken," Nana would mutter under her breath. Gozi tried to reach her again and again. She would ask how school went, try to compliment her hair, or talk about women things, cooking, menstruation, boys. But Nana treated her words like buzzing flies. Sometimes when she visits her father at his shop in the evenings, they sat somewhere cool, and he would ask, "How is Gozi treating you?" And Nana, with her perfect poker face, would say, "She's fine." But behind his back, the war raged on. A quiet, deliberate war. It began with small things. One afternoon, as Nana returned from school, she found Gozi feeding her beloved hen in the backyard. The hen was growing fat and had just begun to lay eggs. Gozi treated it like family. She spoke to it, fed it early, and even built a small wooden shelter for it beside the kitchen. Nana stood at a distance watching. Her lips curled into a smirk. "You love that thing too much," she whispered to herself. From that moment on, her mind began to tick. Something inside her, the same thing that hated Gozi's calmness, her quietness, her refusal to fight, told her that this hen, this stupid squawking bird, might be the key. Meanwhile, Gozi prayed every night. She had no children of her own. Nana was her only chance at motherhood, her only shot at building a bond. But every attempt hit a wall. I'm excited to know that you watched to this point. I believe that you find this story interesting. Kindly give me a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Do share this video with people who would love it. The quiet war continued, an endless battle of cold glances, lost items, and salt-filled pots. Nana never raised her voice. Gozi never retaliated. But the tension in the house was heavy enough to cut with a knife. And while Nana thought she was winning, while she believed she was breaking this woman down piece by piece, she didn't know that some battles come with a cost not paid in that moment, but much later, when the silence finally speaks. The day was unusually hot. The sun beat down on Uga village like a punishment, baking the earth and drawing dust from the roads into the air. Inside their compound, the afternoon was quiet. Too quiet. Even the goats seemed to hide in the shadows. Gozi was behind the house tending to her hen in its little wooden shelter. The hen had been nesting for days now, a soft pile of white and brown speckled eggs hidden beneath its warm feathers. Gozi spoke gently to it as she dropped crushed maize into a small bowl. "Just a few more days," she whispered. "You'll be a mother soon, and we'll have chicks running around." Her face lit up with the kind of peace that Nana had never seen before. And as fate would have it, Nana saw her through the back window. She didn't smile. Instead, something cold passed over her heart, like a shadow crawling across her chest. The hen, the joy it gave Gozi, the little conversations she had with it all made her chest tighten with silent rage. Later that evening, while Gozi was preparing dinner and her father hadn't returned from the shop, Nana stepped out barefoot and tiptoed toward the back of the house. Her heart was calm, focused. The hen was resting quietly in its shelter, feathers fluffed, eyes half shut, its belly covering the eggs. Nana stood over it, hands on her hips, then slowly walked to the bucket beside the tap and filled a basin with water. She carried it back, her eyes locked on the bird. No one saw her. No one heard the soft splash as the hen was lowered into the water, flapping, squawking, then finally silent. She didn't kill it. She left it dripping wet, shivering, feathers flattened and eggs exposed to the cold air. Then she walked away. That night, Ngozi noticed something was wrong. The hen hadn't returned to sit on its eggs. It just sat in a corner, twitching and shaking. Its once proud feathers now clung to its body in damp clumps. Ngozi rushed to cover the eggs with dry cloths, gently trying to warm them. But the hen never returned to them. It refused to sit. The maternal instinct had been broken. 3 days passed. The eggs began to rot. A foul smell filled the air near the shelter. Flies hovered and buzzed around the abandoned nest. Ngozi cried behind the house, cradling one of the spoiled eggs in her hand like a dead baby. When Nana passed by, she didn't flinch. She didn't offer a word of comfort. She only muttered under her breath, "Maybe now you'll leave." But Ngozi didn't leave. She stayed. And the hen? It stopped laying entirely. It stopped eating for days. It began to wander, slow and dazed, until one morning, it simply disappeared. Ngozi searched, calling it softly like a lost child, but it never returned. That night she knelt in prayer, tears soaking into her wrapper. She didn't know why it hurt so deeply. She didn't know why Nana's heart had turned to stone. She only knew that something unnatural had taken place. Something not right. And far away in the spirit world, nature took note. A balance had been disturbed. A womb meant to nurture life had chosen to destroy it. And as surely as seeds planted grow, that choice would bear its own harvest, in time. The hen was gone, not dead, not buried, just vanished. Ngozi never found a trace of it, not a feather, not a broken claw. One moment it had been limping quietly around the compound, and the next it had disappeared into the world like mist. The villagers said maybe a hawk had taken it, or perhaps it wandered too far into the bush. But Ngozi knew better. She didn't need proof. She had seen the coldness in Nana's eyes. She had heard the silence that followed her footsteps. She had smelled the rot of her eggs and felt the ache in her chest that went far beyond livestock. Still she said nothing. No accusations, no confrontations. Just silence. Because silence, in Ngozi's world, wasn't weakness. It was strength, and it was protection. She didn't want to create a rift between father and daughter, so she chose to suffer quietly, bearing the weight of a loss that no one else understood. Nana, on the other hand, felt victorious. For weeks, she walked with a quiet pride. She no longer saw Ngozi feeding the hen, humming songs, or crouching in the backyard like she used to. The light had dimmed in her stepmother's face. Her laughter had faded. Mission accomplished, Nana thought. And yet, at night, something strange began to happen. She would wake in her sleep, heart pounding, and hear a soft rustling outside her window, like flapping wings. Sometimes in the corner of her dream she saw broken eggs and dark feathers. Once she dreamed that she was sitting on a stool, and a hen kept pecking at her bare feet over and over again, drawing blood. She'd always wake up sweating, clutching her pillow. But she would brush it off, dismissing it as foolishness, just dreams. The spirits, however, had already begun keeping record. Ngozi withdrew into herself. She spoke less, prayed more. Her smiles became rare. Her spirit was still kind, but her eyes now held a sadness that her husband noticed one evening while they sat under the mango tree. "She's still not warming up to you?" he asked gently. Gozi forced a smile. "She's trying. She's a child. Children are like that sometimes." But she knew it was more than childishness. She had lived long enough to recognize spiritual rebellion when she saw it. She didn't tell him about the hen. She didn't tell anyone. It was too late anyway. The eggs were gone, and so was her chance to nurture something in this house. And though she was childless herself, she had loved that hen, the way a woman might love the only thing that listens to her pain, the only living thing that needed her. Now that too was gone. The seed had been sown, a seed of silence, of cruelty, and of imbalance. What Nana did not know was that such seeds never stay buried. They grow in the dark, watered by time and memory. They stretch upward toward the light, and when they bloom, their fruit is often bitter. Years passed like dry leaves drifting in the wind. Nana blossomed into a stunning young woman. Her dark skin shimmered with youth, and her eyes, those same defiant eyes from childhood, now held the sharp confidence of a woman who had always had her way. She was admired by many and envied by more. Obi, a tall, respectful civil servant from a distant town, asked for her hand in marriage. He was well-spoken, God-fearing, and had just finished building a small bungalow on a plot of land he proudly owned in the city. Nana's father was overjoyed. "Your mother would be proud," he said, embracing her. Gozi, now aging but still gentle as ever, helped with the wedding preparations. She bought the wrappers, fetched palm wine for the elders, and even tied Nana's jeel on the wedding day. But though her hands moved with grace, her heart remained distant. She knew how much had been buried beneath their years of silence. Nana didn't look her in the eye that day, not once. The wedding was beautiful. Drums beat joyfully. The women ululated. Children danced barefoot in the sand. Plates of jollof rice, goat meat, and fufu passed from hand to hand. When Obi lifted Nana's veil during the church blessing, she smiled, not from love but from pride. She had won again. A good man, a new house, a fresh life. Everything Gozi had, she would have in double. Everything, except the hen. But time has its own way of speaking. 1 year passed, then 2, then 3. No baby. At first, people said nothing. They smiled, patted her back, and told her to relax. They gave her herbs, teas, and Bible verses. But as the 4th year approached and the silence in the house deepened, the whispers began. "She's too proud. That's why God closed her womb. Maybe she had an abortion when she was younger. Obi should marry another wife." Nana heard them. Every word was a dagger. She started avoiding weddings, naming ceremonies, and even church baby dedications. She pretended to be too busy or too tired. She buried herself in house chores, cooking, attending fertility clinics, and praying with pastors. But the womb remained quiet. Obi grew distant. He no longer touched her at night. He spent more time outside, at work, with friends, even sleeping on the couch when he thought she was already asleep. One night, as rain fell loudly on the zinc roof, Obi said what she had feared most. "Nana, I think we need help beyond the hospital. We need to go traditional. We will go to the village and take it from there." She didn't argue. Pride, once her shield, had worn thin. The next morning, they left for the village. By evening, they settled in at Obi's family house in the village. The wee hours of the next morning met them journeying through muddy paths and bush roads, until they reached the diviner's shrine, a red earth hut surrounded by cola trees and eerie silence. They changed into the attire which is suitable for the environment. Inside, a fire crackled in a clay pot. The smell of herbs and burning incense hung thick in the air. Cowries littered the floor. A carved wooden mask stared down at them from the wall. The diviner said nothing for minutes. He just stared at Nana, then closed his eyes and dropped a string of cowries onto a leather mat. Silence again. Then came the words, slow, cold
Remember that
and
head.
deliberate. Nana froze. The fire crackled louder, and in that moment, it felt like the walls were closing in. Her ears rang, her vision blurred. Shame washed over her like boiling water. Obi turned to her sharply. "What's he talking about? What hen?" Nana's lips trembled, but no words came out. She bowed her head, tears streaming silently down her face. The diviner spoke again, almost in a whisper. "You destroyed life before it could begin. Now life refuses to begin within you. What was done in malice has tied your womb. It will not open, unless truth is spoken and forgiveness received." Obi stood. He didn't say a word. He didn't help her up. He just walked out. The road back home was silent. Not the kind of silence that comes from peace, but the kind that claws at the soul, thick, suffocating, and final. The car bumped over potholes as trees blurred past the window, but neither Nana nor Obi spoke a word. She kept her eyes on her lap. Her hands trembled. His grip on the steering wheel was tight, knuckles pale. When they got home, Obi didn't wait for her to follow. He stepped out, entered the house, and closed the door behind him. Not slamming, just shutting, like shutting a heart. Nana stood beside the car for a while, staring into the fading light of evening. The sky looked tired, as if it too had no more tears to give. That night they didn't eat together. Obi didn't ask where she was. He didn't check on her. He slept in the guest room, and for the first time since their wedding, Nana knew she was truly alone. In the evenings, she always sat on a bench at the corridor of the village house staring into space. In the following days, the distance became a wall. He stopped talking to her. He stopped praying with her. He stopped hoping. One morning, while she was sweeping the front steps, Obi stood at the doorway with a small bag and an envelope.
"I'm returning you to your father's house."
Obi, please.
"I loved you. I prayed for you. I waited. But what you did?" He paused. "You didn't just hurt a hen. You cursed yourself, and you didn't think to tell me." "It was the devil," she whispered. "But the womb you cursed was yours," he said. That same afternoon, as the car pulled out of Obi's family compound, she looked back once and saw her wedding gown, now a faded memory, folded in a plastic bag by the window. The road to her father's house seemed longer than she remembered. The trees looked different, the air thicker, the silence unbearable. When she got out of the car and walked into the compound, the neighbors peeked from behind curtains. No one said a word. Shame walked beside her like a shadow. When she arrived at the door, her hands shook as she knocked. Her father opened the door slowly. Surprise washed over his face, followed by confusion. Behind him, Gozi appeared, now older, softer, wrapped in a faded wrapper and with flour on her hands from pounding yam. Nana couldn't speak. Her throat locked. She dropped her bag, fell to her knees, and wept. Gozi walked forward slowly, eyes wide with disbelief, then recognition. She said nothing, just reached out, lifted her gently from the ground, and led her inside. Inside the house that once echoed with tension and silence, Nana sat, not on the same sofa she had once claimed in pride, but on the floor. Now she sank into it like a broken leaf. Her father tried to ask questions, but Gozi waved him off gently. "She needs to rest," she said. And that night, for the first time in many years, Gozi cooked for her, not out of duty but out of something deeper. She placed the food before her with a soft voice. "You didn't eat lunch." Nana stared at the plate, then at her stepmother, and wept again. This time, not from shame, but from regret. The very woman she had once hated was the only person left who would open her door. Nana stayed. What began as a return to gather herself stretched into weeks, then months. Her father didn't ask her to leave. Gozi didn't remind her of the past, but everyone could see the weight she carried, the hollow silence in her eyes, the way her shoulders slumped even when she stood. She no longer walked like the proud girl who once ruled the compound with defiance. Now she moved with the quiet humility of someone who knew the world could strike hard and without warning. Uga village had changed. Children she once mocked now had children of their own. Her former classmates whispered when she passed by, covering their mouths and pretending to greet her politely. She's the one who couldn't give birth. Her husband sent her home. She was too stubborn. God punished her. Nana heard it all, but she never responded. What could she say? Every word felt like a wound reopened. She stopped wearing makeup, stopped attending weddings or church functions. She wore simple wrappers, tied her hair in scarves, and helped Gozi around the house, sweeping, cooking, and walking to the market like a ghost of her former self. The loud, fiery Nana was gone. Only the remains stayed behind. And yet, there was a strange peace in the rhythm of village life. The sound of mortars pounding yam in the evening, the call of the town crier, the smell of burning firewood and harmattan dust. Nana began to find comfort in things she once ignored. She started tending a small garden behind the house, planting okra and scent leaves. She sat with Gozi during long evenings, peeling melon seeds and listening to old tales by the kerosene lamp. Sometimes, they would sit in silence. Other times, Gozi would hum a song while peeling cassava, and though words were few, there was a quiet forgiveness growing between them, unspoken, but steady. One day, as Nana was washing clothes at the back of the compound, she saw a group of small children chasing a chicken. They laughed, ran, and tumbled through the dusty path. One of the girls fell beside a hen's nest and squealed. Nana froze, her eyes locked on the eggs in the nest, so perfectly arranged, so full of promise. She stood slowly and walked toward them. Her hand hovered above the eggs, trembling. A sharp breath caught in her throat. A memory flashed. A basin of water, feathers soaked, eggs cold. She staggered back and sat on a low stool, burying her face in her hands. She continued washing. The children ran past her, oblivious. Later that evening, she sat beside Gozi, who was peeling yam. After a long silence, Nana whispered, "Do you still think about it?" Gozi didn't ask what it meant.
Do you still think about it?
She nodded. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Nana bit her lower lip, her eyes glistening.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Gozi's hand stilled. Gozi looked up at her, eyes soft but unreadable. She nodded slowly. I forgave you, long ago. But some things are between you and God, and nature. Nana began spending more time at the local health center, where she volunteering as the laboratory technician. She never told anyone her story. She never corrected the rumors. She just served. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Do share the video with someone who would love it. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section.